Right, hi there. This one's gonna be a longer video, but kind of fueled. If you remember last year, I did a video about consultants calling me up, telling me I had to drop out of the race. That having more options for democracy is bad for democracy. So this is gonna be one of those where I want to say stuff just to get it off my chest. Not scripted, not kind of ranty. So I'm just going to ask you to come along on this journey with me because we had an incident yesterday where we excluded from joining the other candidates. And there'll be a press release on that, a little more formal. But this is something that's bothering me. And as I've gone through this process, I have particularly noticed I'm not a fan of my of people who I'm potentially running against. And one of the things that comes out is, and this is on many things, but he's such a nice guy. Well, such a nice guy. I was the same response, and same people too, who said that, oh, don't criticize Rex Scott. He's such a nice guy, but he's making policy that harms our community. And so along those lines, people are saying, oh my, stop being difficult with Joshua Hill. He's such a nice guy. But he's positioning himself to make very poor decisions for our community. So it's simple. We all like nice people. They smile, they're polite, and they say the right things. They seem safe, and that's dangerous because when it comes time to vote, they can feel very powerful. And I really bring this up because with the nice guy argument, and this happened yesterday as someone was coming out of their presentation. I saw they were carrying their pamphlets. I went to go offer mine, and she was not happy about that and let me know. I already made my decision. And then I said, did you know that Joshua Hill is pro data center? And she paused and said, okay, well, let me take a look. And this is where it comes in, is people present themselves, they leave the bad stuff out, and that leaves us as a community be subject to their bad decisions. So, you know, it's we are wired to want to trust likability. It's called the halo effect. And when someone seems kind or friendly, we unconsciously assume that they are also smart, ethical, and capable. And that's not true. And so we have to be very cautious of those things. Even yesterday, like, it was very easy to like Joshua because they were feeding him softball questions. One of the questions that was asked was, do you support rate hikes? Well, who's going to answer no to that? And so that makes someone very likable. It doesn't make them competent. And when you don't ask the hard questions, like asking him about his data center affinity, how can you be against rate hikes, which was the obvious response, and he gave it, when you support something that is going to raise people's rates? But again, they were controlling the narrative, and so, I guess his $150,000 going to pay consultants is paying off. By the way, the same consultants that called me up and told me I had to drop out. Think about it now. Think about what's going on in the world. That's why we're here, on both sides of the aisle. And as much as we don't believe, it's hard to believe, that's what Trump offered to his followers. And they saw that, oh, he's likable. I don't get it. We have the same thing on our side. We have the Schumers of the world. Oh, but he's a nice guy. And if you ask people about Schumer, they're like, yeah, he's a nice guy. Look at all the harm he allows to happen. And so we don't need these nice guys. We need people who can take a stand. Because we're the ones that deal with the consequences of the nice guy. So when we vote on vibes instead of values, we don't just pick a person, we choose the outcomes. The outcomes for our families, for our communities, for years, sometimes decades. And so, I even joke around with the Rex Scott thing. And see, this is who I am. I will name names. Oh, but he's such a nice guy. But he voted to bring in data centers. He votes not with this. And I don't need a nice guy. I will take an asshole who makes great policy decisions. I don't need a nice guy. So I want you to close your eyes and imagine who it is that you want making policy for you. Are you imagining a nice guy? Or are you imagining someone who understands policy, who understands records, who understands competence, who understands accountability? What do they stand for rather than being a nice guy? Because what we have now is the result of democracy being a popularity contest. So is that what we want to continue? Because that's what we're on the way of. And it's okay to like someone. I like Jonathan. As a voter, I absolutely terrified of him being elected. And quite frankly, I don't think, again, because he already lost before, I don't think he would make it past the general again. It's easy for him when no Republicans are around to crack jokes, the same jokes, about Nick Myers and Kevin Thompson. He's not going to do that when they're around. So let's replace likability with scrutiny. Vote for judgment, vote for policy, vote for consequences that you can live with. Now, what I'm going to ask of the other candidates is to stop adopting my talking points, because what you're doing without the expertise, when you try to talk accounting, one, you're opening yourself up to me. I'm going to put this out there. Next time the three of us are together, I'm going to push everything you've said in the past and question you on it. So when you make your statements, your generalized statements about SEC filings and not knowing what you're talking about, taking my talking points, not only are you opening yourself up to attack and to show, because I know you're trying, especially Jonathan, your whole spiel is, oh, you're the technical expert, not in accounting. Now you have to justify what you just said and not knowing what you just said. But you're also spreading misinformation. Isn't that what we're supposed to be fighting right now? And you're doing it. And that's exactly why I don't trust your abilities. Everything that we're complaining about, everything that's harming us now, you do. And again, I've been saying this for a while. I invite you, come down. Why am I the only one speaking out against data centers? And that got answered because you love them. Why am I the only one at the ACC speaking out against rate hikes? Why am I the only one doing all this stuff now while you're showing up to do your little speeches and then taking off? I'm a Kendrick Lamar fan, and I can't help but think of the line. You're not a colleague, you're a colonizer. And you're continuing this world we're trying to fight against. You're an enabler. And feel free. Like I said, I'm going to attack you on the stuff you said. Bring it up next time we're together. Attack me. I'm not afraid. I'm here to help change this world. I'm here to get rid of the establishment. I'm not here to be a Schumer.